Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
An accident in a popular Michigan vacation spot kills a standout student from Metro Detroit. Tonight, her family is speaking out.
The owners of the Ambassador Bridge are answering the Local 4 Defenders' questions about why they want to transport hazardous materials over the bridge and how they think they can do that safely.
But we begin with breaking news from Oak Park. That's where a shooting has left a 12-year-old boy dead. It happened this afternoon around 12:30 on Saratoga Street. Investigators believe a group of kids got a hold of a gun. Police have a 15-year-old in custody accused of pulling the trigger. Police are investigating the events leading up to that gun being fired.
All right, now to a fight that's been going on for years. The Ambassador Bridge owners trying to get permission to transport hazardous material across the international border.
And now, for the first time, the bridge owners allowed our cameras on the property and in their control center to get a closer look at how they operate. Here's Karen Drew with a Local 4 Defenders exclusive.
I can tell you, I have spoken with the state. It confirms the request is in from the bridge to allow Hazmat to cross the bridge. But at the same time, MDOT officials tell me they have asked for certain information from the bridge company months ago and still have not received it.
It's a question that's causing quite an uproar. Should the Ambassador Bridge be allowed to transport hazardous materials across the international crossing?
Our effort here isn't the volume of traffic we want to get, it's to offer our customers the same kind of service that they get at the Blue Water Bridge and that they expect to get at the Gordie Howe if and when it's built.
Typically, the Ambassador Bridge Company doesn't do many interviews and has never allowed our cameras on the property like they did on this visit. We were able to go inside their control center, get a behind-the-scenes look. It was clear they wanted their message out, and the Local 4 Defenders had some questions.
Talk to me about what you're doing to change to make this a safe option.
We installed additional fire suppression systems both in Canada and in Detroit, and have agreed to and have hired two environmental consultants to work with us.
The bridge owners showed us part of their firefighting system, a blend of pipes to bring water on the bridge and a variety of hydrants to fight a fire from below. But according to this June letter from the state to the bridge company, there still needs more work to be done. Information needed on the system capacity, contingency plan, as well as a cleanup plan.
We're in the middle of the U.S. approach revitalization. We've done most of the Canadian already. We've done the complete main span between the two towers over the water.
The bridge owners say the continual improvements and repairs they've made to the international crossing will make transporting the flammable and corrosive materials a safe option.
We're doing all new concrete, all new curbs, electrical, lighting, guardrail, so the bridge is rehabilitated for another 75 years.
Opponents have been vocal.
This is very dangerous, toxic waste that they're trying to transport across this bridge.
I hope that the state of Michigan will recognize that this is a health and safety issue and will keep our current guidelines in place.
Why do you think there is so much drama over this topic? You've got two very divided sides.
My hope is some of that's gone, that people through these kind of interviews and information we're going to supply to MDOT will realize that this is bringing more safety to Michigan, not forcing trucks to drive another 60 miles on Michigan roads instead of a mile and a half over the Ambassador Bridge.
But until the bridge company provides the state with more detailed information, no decision can be made.
The bridge company has many letters of endorsement, including from the Wayne County Sheriff. Still, community opposition is strong. Of course, we'll follow this closely. I'm Karen Drew, Local 4 Defenders.
Hey, Karen. And with the recent passing of bridge owner Matty Maroon and his son taking over for him, bridge officials say the community can expect a more open dialogue to their concerns and questions.
The Ingham County Health Department is cracking down on those who've been gathering and spreading coronavirus in East Lansing. That county has seen a 52% increase in COVID cases, 52% since August 24th, and the majority of them MSU students. That's why the health department issued a mandatory quarantine today for 30 large houses in East Lansing. That includes 23 fraternities and sororities. Residents of those houses must remain in their residence for 2 weeks unless they need medical care or necessities that can't be delivered. Violating that order is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 6 months in jail or a $200 fine or both. As for the statewide COVID numbers, over the past 2 days, there are 1,088 new cases to report, along with 10 additional deaths.
The weekend brought tragedy to one downriver family. A 15-year-old named Samantha Witachowski, a standout student at Southgate Anderson High School, was killed in an ATV accident in Traverse City. Victor Williams spoke with Samantha's aunt, who says this young lady had everything going for her.
Well, we're told that Samantha was a pretty remarkable student here at Southgate High School, and it's just such a tragedy that her life was cut so short.
Samantha playing volleyball. She was an excellent volleyball player.
Pictures worth 1,000 emotions are all Katie Sarah has of her niece Samantha Witachowski following the tragic events of an ATV accident.
Heard that an animal jumped in front of the ATV. She swerved, missed the animal.
The vehicle flipped and Samantha died on impact in Traverse City. A horrific situation, especially knowing Samantha was such a good kid.
She was just a bright light. She had so much promise.
The rising sophomore at Southgate Anderson High played many sports, including volleyball and basketball. Samantha even cheered from an early age. But she was just as talented inside of the classroom.
Her grades were wonderful. She actually loved to learn. She had a light in her eyes, and you knew she was going to go somewhere.
In the meantime, it's going to be a hard void to fill for everyone who knew this smart young girl.
It's a shock to the whole family. Just don't let her memory die. She's a beautiful, beautiful girl, and we're going to love her forever.
Now, on our website, we've included a link to Samantha's memorial fund, so you can head to clickondetroit.com to donate. Victor Williams, Local 4.
Well, there was another teen riding with Samantha, and we're told she suffered minor injuries.
Governor Whitmer's opponents have taken a big step forward in their effort to put limits on her emergency powers. That effort has involved collecting quite a few signatures. Grant Herms live with a look at the milestone they've reached and what it means. Grant.
Well, for months, Michigan had one of the strictest stay-at-home orders in the country, and after several court challenges broke in favor of the governor, this petition is a stand against that. A major milestone and a major potential blow to Governor Gretchen Whitmer. A petition to curb some of her powers during the pandemic reaching 400,000 signatures. The number needed to make it official, 340,000.
It doesn't matter whether it is a Democrat now or Republican in the past or in the future. No one individual should have unilateral authority over all things.
The petition is from the group Unlock Michigan, which is pushing to do away with a 1945 law giving the governor sweeping powers during an emergency in favor of a similar law from 1976 that does have a time limit on those powers. Whitmer has used the 1945 law in defense of the dozens of executive orders she's issued to fight COVID-19.
When it was determined within the emergency orders then that you could no longer go in a boat with your own family or couldn't go golfing and you couldn't buy paint in the same store, you could buy something else, it got to be craziness.
Michigan isn't alone in its state of emergency. According to the National Governors Association, 56 states and territories still have active orders right now. And despite the hundreds of thousands of signatures, recent polling from Local 4 and the Detroit News shows 61% of Michiganders approve of the governor's handling of the pandemic. But the petition is a sign the fight for the state of Michigan's emergency is far from over. And we did reach out to the governor's office today, but did not get a comment back. Because of what this petition wants changed, it actually wouldn't go to, if approved, go to a vote by the people of Michigan on the statewide ballot. This would go directly to the state legislature instead.
But Grant, talk a little bit about what comes next, because for a lot of people behind this drive, they want this answered yesterday. They've got to wait ahead of them.
They do have a bit of a wait ahead of them. The deadline is actually January, but Unlock Michigan thinks that once they get this into the Secretary of State's office, they can get this sewn up in about 75 days, which means that if there are no hurdles, the legislature could see this by December, but this is likely a fight that will play out into 2021. Back to you.
All right, Grant.
Some students in the Wayne Westland School District are still without a much-needed tool for virtual learning. The Chromebook distribution scheduled for earlier this month had to be canceled. A distribution problem with a vendor caused a delay in the delivery of thousands of devices. Not all students are without devices, but the district says about 1,400 students are still without a device of their own. The school superintendent says getting those students back on track is the first priority.
We need to make sure that we ensure and get every single kid in our school community access. And the team here has been working hard, really, and probably calling too much and emailing, and we're doing everything except a message in a bottle to our vendor to get us these devices.
And the district hopes within the next week they will receive the much-needed devices.
Since March, COVID-19 has laid waste to the American commercial aviation industry. Slowly, that business building back. A lesser known yet important corner of that business is the general aviation industry. And today in Oakland County, our business editor Rod Maloney got a look at the damage to that sector and the recovery process. Rod.
Pentastar Aviation is on M59, which is part of the Oakland County Airport complex. And it turns out that this was the first local aviation airport in the entire country, dating back to the 1920s. That has serious impact on Oakland County economically, and also because of COVID, it's taken quite the hit. The Oakland County Airport is the second busiest in the state of Michigan behind Detroit Metro. Used to depend largely on automotive executive and cargo flights. That's been changing. Oakland County Executive David Coulter says Michigan's general aviation business is a quiet giant.
Michigan ranks 9th among all 50 states for the number of aircraft based here. Number 9, it's a huge part of our economy. We rank 13 in the number of public and private airports.
To date, they're reporting 76,000 takeoffs and landings here. Sounds pretty good until you realize they were just under 100,000 this time last year. This kind of high-end travel accounts for about $1.5 billion in revenue to the county each year, and it's a $300 million hit after COVID.
So the airport has had to reduce some hours of our airport personnel during the period of stay home, stay safe that the governor has issued under her orders. But the good news is we are back to working at full schedule. So that's a great news. As the economy has rebounded, and we're hoping that it's a V rebound, we have brought everybody back here at the airport.
Still, Coulter believes this industry is a bellwether, which means while COVID did damage, we're seeing a smart recovery. Now, the airport here is down about 75%. It doesn't have that much farther to go to get back to what would be considered at least financially normal. And they figure that can happen maybe by year's end or maybe even the middle of next year. In Waterford, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
All right, Rod. Well, a mild Monday to start the week, but Andrew, there's a warm-up coming.
Exactly right, Kimberly and Devin. I mean, we have temperatures in the 60s right now, rather cool outside, fall-like. But just around the corner, northern Illinois, temperatures in the 70s. When do we see those? We'll talk about that in your 7-day forecast next.
It was a concern that emerged early in the pandemic that taking ibuprofen could increase the risk from COVID-19. I'm Dr. Frank McGeorge. Coming up, there's new information to share, and I have an important update to my trust index.